Some call it the toughest race on earth. 6 marathons back-to-back in the sweltering 40 degrees heat of the Sahara. But this year, around 250 Brits took part in the Marathon de Sables, including Captain Colin Oliver from the Rifles. Here's the moment he made it over the finish line.
Exhausted. Yeah, really good. Such a relief to finish.
Colin, welcome.
How you doing?
How does it feel seeing that back?
Brings back memories, yeah. It's only a week or so ago that I got back, but it seems like quite a long time ago already, which is yeah, it brings back memories, that's for sure.
What was it like?
It was in hindsight, it was a brilliant experience. I think at the time, I remember writing utterly miserable in at least one email back. There were some very low parts, but actually, looking back on it now, it was a really great sort of experience.
And there they go. What were you thinking when you set off?
A huge amount of sort of nervous anticipation, but also a lot of relief. And we've been training for this.
That's you there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's me, just sort of setting off. I think day one, just realising what we were getting ourselves in for. And, you know, so much time training for it and doing all the equipment and everything else. And so it was really a sort of, OK, now this is what we're here to do, and let's get on and do it, which was great.
But there was no time to recover, was there? It was back to back.
That was the big thing. The big thing, anyone can run a marathon in a day. It was then doing it again, and then again, and again, and meanwhile carrying your kit and living in basic conditions. And that was the real sort of part which makes this so much different to anything else. I
just want to show a bit where it looks like it was the turning point in this whole marathon episode for you. Let's look at what you were saying.
Right.
Next 2 or 3 hours is basically about surviving, I think. Get through the heat of the day, and then we'll see how we feel after that. But I think we're doing really well in terms of like where we stand.
Bonjour. A real low point for you?
There were lots of real low points. This was in the middle of the sort of long phase, so it was 50 miles, 80 kilometres, about 15 hours worth of running, and this was just about midday, and the heat had I think it hit about 47 degrees, and you knew that not only did you have to get through the rest of one marathon and then run another marathon, and you were going to be in the desert, in the dunes, in the dark, and that's not a lot of fun to look forward to.
But you had famous company to keep you going, didn't you, with James Cracknell?
Yeah, it was a real sort of coincidence that he was in the same tent as me when we got there, doing a documentary on the physiology of doing it.
Was it intimidating or not?
It was inspiring, actually, because he was there to push himself as hard as he could go and actually finished as the top British competitor who's ever done it. And actually, if you've got somebody in a tent with you doing that, you can't then sort of sit down and just trot round. And actually, by the end, we were all racing along to do as well as we could. And I did far better probably because I was with him than I would have done on my own, which was a great experience.
So tell me why you wanted to do it exactly.
Well, it's labelled as the toughest race on earth, and so immediately I thought, right, OK, that sounds like something that would be nice to say you've done afterwards. And then developed, so I'd been in Afghanistan with the Rifles. The Rifles obviously had a lot of casualties over the last sort of few years, and so I then decided actually I'd do it for the Rifles Care for Casualties Fund, which raises money for the families and those that have been injured. And so, you know, that suddenly made it a lot more important on that terms as well as just actually completing it for myself.
And how much did you raise?
I'm over £5,000 at the moment for the Rifles and Help for Heroes, which has been amazing, and there's been real good, generous people which has helped me out, which is great.
Congratulations, well done. Just one last question. Thanks for coming in. Are you going to take part in the London Marathon?
No, I'm going to sit with a beer and watch everybody else run London.
Good for you. Good for you. Well,